substance P, méthencéphaline, le encéphaline, bradykinine, cholecystokinine, gastrin-releasing peptide, and neurotensin. Then the cleavage sites that could be involved in the destruction of the peptide. So you see three possibilities for substance P, only one for méthencéphaline or le-encéphaline. And at the end, the constant of Michaelis expressed in micromolar. And you can see that the constant of Michaelis is quite similar for all these peptides, so that NEP is an enzyme involved in the degradation of all these peptides. So imagine that when we discovered everything regarding the endogenous peptides for the opioidergic system, we found encéphaline, and people were interested to limit the encéphaline using of enzyme involved in the degradation of encéphaline, endorphin, etc. And they used inhibitors for treating pain and chronic pain, so that you raise the concentration of endogenous encéphaline and endorphin. It's better than morphine, and you may act longer and better on opioidergic system. The problem of this strategy is that you impaired indeed the degradation of encéphaline and endorphin, but you also impaired the degradation of peptides like substance P, which are supposed to do the reverse, the opposite. So that on one hand, you prevented the degradation of analgesic compounds, but on the other hand, you promoted the action of hyperalgic systems as well. So it did not work, and those inhibitors are not really friendly. They can have some side effects. So this strategy was a little bit abandoned simply because we did not find specific strategy and reason to specifically act on one and or another one system. So one of the last slides of the lecture is called inactivation and biosynthesis of neuropeptides. So I go back on the idea developed during the biosynthesis with peptides. You can have the progression of the large core dense vesicle to the terminals. Then, after fusion, you have the release of the active peptide being released and then acting on specific receptor. Okay? Then this peptide is also destroyed by inactive enzyme with catalytic sites in the synaptic cleft. Okay? But you can also have the following situation where an inactive peptide could be released here symbolized by black and yellow, and it is not active. However, it is degraded by ectoenzyme of degradation, but in that case we can, okay, it is degraded, but it gives you one active peptide acting on specific receptor. You see? And sometimes you have the mixed situation where you have an active peptide that is released. It can act on specific receptor. It can be destroyed, and one product of the degradation can go and stimulate the same receptor or another receptor. So this is quite interesting and complicated. But anyway, this is a dimension that you have to think about. So the last lecture, this is a summary, and the reason why I say you should look at the 7 points to describe the features of a neurotransmitter system. This is because we can have some pharmacology for this system, for these points. Not yet for the distribution, except that I could speak about the development of some specific neurotransmitter systems, and you could have some pharmacology preventing or not the action of one factor allowing the distribution of and the organization of the neurotransmitter system in the tissue. Maybe one day, if we feel that schizophrenia, depression could be solved by increasing the number of varicosities on dopamine or serotonin cells, maybe we will have some specific treatment allowing the maturation of this kind of synapses and in the tissue. So I don't know. The distribution is not in the fact involved somehow in the long-term consequence of pharmacological use, especially if you think about the synaptic modeling or remodeling. And anyway, I would like for you to develop the automatism when somebody is speaking about the neurotransmitter system that you don't know. Okay, where it is, how it is synthesized, how it is stored, how it is released, what are the receptors, what are the specific synaptic effects, and how it is destroyed. Basic questions. And for the biosynthesis, the second point, we do have some molecules. So we can use neuropharmacology here. And you all know L-DOPA. I will speak about benzerazide. I will speak about alpha-methylparatyrosine. So some of them are used in preclinical situations. Some of them are used in clinic, and some of them are both used in preclinical and clinic settings.